Hello and welcome back to RWR Plays TEW2020. This is our series where we are running as RWR, the promotion, Random Wrestling Revue, and we are going from local to global. We've started with zero money, zero popularity, and zero prestige. And right now we are picking up exactly where we were from the beginning, from the end, sorry, of the first episode. So let's go and watch that if you haven't done already. And if you've enjoyed that episode and if you are planning on following this series along, please give us a like and a subscribe. And yeah, that would be very, very much appreciated. So, what I want to do here is hire a new wrestler. It's going to have to be based in the Southwest, I think, given what talent we've seen is available in the Northwest. We're going to bring in somebody else to um, basically to face, sorry, to face Buddy Wayne. I got temporarily distracted there. To face Buddy Wayne in the first match that he's going to have as the champion. Now, I want this to be someone reasonably random. It's not going to be Doug Furnace, 220 per show. Yeah, I want this to be someone random that I'm not expecting really to use again in the future because, to be honest, this is just going to be a regulation defense. Like the way I'm thinking of it in my head is the first match was to set the scene between these two people that hate each other, who will go on to hate each other, will become the idea will be that Michael Modest and Buddy Wayne are kind of the central focus of the promotion and will um, kind of will work against each other, and Michael Modest will work to bring Buddy Wayne down, but also to obviously introduce the main title. The second show is more about, for me, is more about promoting. How what am I trying to say here? It's more about the second show is more about just having a defense of that title. The first defense of the title. Uh, I'm just trying to kind of introduce very slowly the story because obviously it's going to take a long time for me to really sort of establish everything in the way I want to. I'm going to look a little bit further afield. For example, I wonder if Vancouver in Canada, I might get away with not spending any money. Oh, what? Where's Vancouver? Is it? Oh, I'm not very good at the regions of Canada. I'm going to look it up, which I know is awful. Hang on, sorry about this. I'm just looking it up because I don't know uh, what region is above the northwest of America. That shows terrible geography, I know, but I'm not from that part of the world, so apologies for that. Uh, so here we go. We've got some of the maps here. I'm just looking through the maps, and I can't find what I want to find. I tell you what, I'm going to say it now. Right, Bing as opposed to Google is terrible. Like if you type something into Google, you nearly always get immediately near the top what you want. Bing just doesn't give you that. It's just not as good. Okay, so what have we got here? Uh, so I think I found something here. I think British Columbia is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to see if I can find anyone based in British Columbia and see if. Oh yeah, they're not really up to much either, are they? There's only two of them. What else do I need then? Let's have a look at the American territories. So the closest one to the northwest is the Midwest. So let's have a look at Midwest. I would have thought, seeing as the Southwest doesn't require people's travel expenses to be covered, that nor would this. So there's a fair few people based in this part of the country, but they're all quite expensive. There's a 60. Lenny Lane. Now that might work. Let's see what else we've got. Little Tokyo. Don't think we're going to do that. Oliver Humperdinck, not a wrestler. What else have we got here? Okay, so Wellington Wilkins Jr. looks like a really quite decent bet here. I'm happy to bring him in because I don't really know who this guy is, and I don't really have a sense that I'm going to use him a lot in the future. So he's going to be the guy that will take on Buddy Wayne in Buddy Wayne's first title defense that will take place at our second show, which I need to set up. So add new event, RWR Second Coming. these are names that I've used time and time again. So it's why it's so automatic for me on this game. Week 2, Saturday in October, 1 hour long, special save. RWR Second Coming then is set up in 12 days' time. So that will be the match that we are looking to promote on our second show. And that is to establish Buddy Wayne as a champion. I think seeing as Wellington Wilkins Jr., I've kind of heard of him, but the thing is, I've played this game quite a lot now over the years. That I think there are a lot of wrestlers that I recognize the names of from the game, as opposed to actually having ever seen them wrestle. So it's a bit of a strange one, that right? We've signed Wellington Wilkins Jr., and so I don't know if I've ever even heard of him outside of the game. I certainly haven't seen him wrestle, but I don't imagine he's a great wrestler. And so his match with Buddy Wayne is probably not going to be very good. I've heard of Michael Modest. He was obviously on Beyond the Mat back in the day, but yeah, not so much with the others. So I don't imagine it'll be a particularly good match, but it will be fine. It'll be good enough to increase our popularity again, which is all we're really looking for at this point in time. Is just to increase our popularity each show, and that way, once we do that, we will have another show in the books. But as I said, I don't think I will use Wellington Wilkins Jr. much beyond this one show. So that already kind of preempts the result of the main event, which is that Buddy Wayne is going to win. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm approaching this. It's all very far cry from WCW, the WCW series. Maybe I'll talk about that again in a little bit. But we've arrived at the next show, and as I said, the match is going to be Buddy Wayne against Wellington Wilkins Jr. for the title. And again, it'll be 30 minutes long because I've got no other option. It has to be that long in order for me not to incur penalties. That's not really a limitation of the game. That's a limitation of the scenario that I'm using here, which is obviously you'd have more money than just enough money to hire 2 wrestlers or 3 wrestlers per show. So, in fairness, that is not the game's fault. That is entirely my fault. So, yeah, pinfall win. In fact, I've done nothing for. Let's just book that. I've done nothing for Wellington Wilkins Jr.'s gimmick. He's going to work heel. Doesn't have a gimmick. Let's give him a gimmick. Let's just have him be. What can he do? Comedy, swagger, Weasley underdog, or offbeat unstable. So let's just give him a standard. You know what? Old school heel. We've got the old school face. Let's have the old school heel. So he's going to be in as an old school heel. He'll go up against Buddy Wayne. We're going to have an angle promo before the match, which is Buddy Wayne. And he's going to thank the fans for their support at the last show. He hopes to do them proud. So very, very generic, very kind of, very kind of standard stuff. Not looking to break the mold just yet. But then after the match, we're going to have Michael Modest attack Buddy Wayne. So we are actually going to use 3 different wrestlers on this one, which will cost us some money again. Leaves him lying. So a bitter Michael Modest returns to the venue where he lost the match against Buddy Wayne and attacks him. So this is our show, our second show, RWR Second Coming. I haven't got a good song in mind for this one. Maybe something from the Stone Roses second album of the same name, but I don't know. I don't know if there is I don't think there's a song called Second Coming. So whatever you want, doesn't really bother me. Let's see what happens. So we've got 41 people, so even less. So that's a worry. Less people at this show than the last one. Buddy Wayne thanking the fans for their support. Did pretty well. Segment rating 35. I'm quite happy with actually how Buddy Wayne's performing so far. I had no idea what he'd be like, but he's wrestling okay, and this is a good segment, in fairness. The match itself, a 16. Again, I can't be unhappy with that. Wayne wins in 30 minutes, 21 seconds by pinfall. This is his first defense of the title. He gets a 24 of in-ring performance. Wellington Wilkins Jr. 22. Wilkins Jr.'s gimmick was adequate. Bout dragged in the middle. Buddy Wayne was really off his game. Bruce Hart wasn't a good road agent. The match was obviously far too long. And then after the match, one story that we've got going, Michael Modest attacks Buddy Wayne and leaves him lying in the ring. And that got a segment rating of 28, so it actually gained heat as a story. And that's the end of our second show. An overall rating of 21, so better than our first one. And again, increased our popularity. And for this one, I'll just do the same as I did last time, but I will also add um, Wellington Wilkins Jr. to this, even though, as I said, I don't really think I'm going to use him again. What I do like about the game now, as opposed to TEW2020 2016, is that you don't have to sign them to contracts in the same way. You used to have to kind of sign them to contracts, and then you'd have to pay them each month. Now you can just have a roster of talent, and you don't have to use them, and you don't have to pay for them if you don't use them. Interesting in-game news: Bruno Sammartino has passed away, aged 59, which is obviously well before he passed away in real life. So again, the game being pretty brutal in that respect. So let's do what we did last month, and again, just progress to the end of the current month. Time is going to pass pretty quickly in this save. I think it's fair to say it's not going to be, we're not going to. It's not going to be ages and ages before we get to the next month, as it was with WCW Nitro. The WCW show, the WCW series, where each week was a week, each episode was a week long, and actually in some cases was less than a week long because we did the pay-per-views in its own episode. Like, we will be done with a year pretty quickly. I mean, we are all going to easily, within the first third of this particular episode, going to be into our third individual month in the game. So we're moving forward. It's just a different series, a different style, different scope for this particular one, is how we're going to do this. And we're going to look at the finances again at the end of the month, see where we are. I imagine we've lost even more money because we used three different wrestlers on this last show. Having said that, we probably also receive a little bit more in sponsorship, and yeah, because we've increased our popularity. So we'll have a look at that. Then we'll set up the third show, and we'll figure out what we're going to do for that one as well, including who or whether we're going to bring in an additional talent here or there. I mean, spoilers, we are going to do that because we have to. We've got three people on the roster, one of which I'm not really intending to use much beyond what we've just done at the second coming. So into November we go, and let's have a look at that finance. So yeah, we lost a tiny bit less than October 1995. $8 less in October than we did in September. And that is despite spending more money on workers, although the show costs were less. I wonder why that was. Where do we spend less money on the miscellaneous, which who knows what that is. Everything else is pretty much standard, but we did make $50 more in sponsorship. So our ticket sales were the same, and so was our merchandise, but our sponsorship was $50 up. So that's where we made the money last time around. Plus, we saved some money here for some reason for the show costs. That's good news. And let's first of all set up the next event. A new event. So obviously, you know, being as cliche as I possibly can, third time's a charm will be our third show. Another special and another Saturday, week 2, this time in November. Yeah. Did I make that special? Yes, I did. Okay, fine. So that's the third show in the books. 12 days to go till then. Now, what I'm going to do is find another wrestler, but this time I want to find someone. The purpose of, or the type of wrestler I want here is a muscle guy or a bigger guy anyway to be um the muscle for Michael Modest. He's going to basically in this next show he's going to introduce somebody that he's bringing in to be the person that will win the title off of Buddy Wayne. I'm not even looking at the right thing, the right view to get what I'm looking for here, which is how much it's going to cost me. Scott Norton is way too much money, as you might imagine. I don't think there's anyone there, but that's fine because we're still in the Midwest. I want to look at Southwest. And I think I saw, so there's a few bits and pieces here. I think chemo could be an option here. We could also, though. Oh, now the guy I had in mind isn't there. There was a person, there was a wrestler here that I saw that might have been able to do this job, but he's not here. I think I'm gonna have to go Max Payne. No, way too expensive. I think I'm gonna have to go with chemo, which was not necessarily a problem, but it wasn't quite what I was going for. I wonder what I've. Yeah, I think the wrestler I had in mind is not there. So I'm gonna go with chemo, big bulky heavyweight. I think that makes sense. Not covered, travel expensive. So, so chemo is going to be signed. He's going to be, and he will go straight up against the champion. So the idea here is that Michael Modest is going to bring in this this new this new wrestler to face Buddy Wayne, and he's going to be like, you know, I'm teaching you a lesson. You got lucky against me. You won't get lucky against this guy. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. And this is to further set up or to just further embed this idea of this story between these two wrestlers, Buddy Wayne and Michael Modest, who are going to grow to hate each other. They already are in a feud, but they're going to grow to properly hate each other. And what I want, the vision I've got for it is like this idea of these two wrestlers who were the first two wrestlers involved, the original two wrestlers, who are just perennial rivals, who just always will always be, at odds with one another, going right back to the start, and everything kind of flows from that feud. Everything else within the promotion, at least for a while, emanates from the dislike between the two. And so Chemo is going to be brought in to sort of be the muscle, be the big guy that Michael Modest turns to take Buddy Wayne out and beat him for the belt. So third show coming up this weekend, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's going to be a very so I don't want him to have a gangster gimmick. That is not my idea for what he should have. I think we'll give him a badass gimmick. Let's go. Let's go there. Well, that's no, actually, let's go there. Unique and safe. And I think this is going to be hired. Hired muscle. Basically, is going to be his. Is going to be his thing. Hired muscle. Chemo. He'll come in, and we'll have this third time's a charm, which is our next show. So the match will be Buddy Wayne versus Chemo. And again, it's going for the title. 30 minutes again. Buddy Wayne, open match, pinfall. Actually, this time it's not going to be. No, I'm not going to have that. I'm going to have. I have Chemo win. Uh, in a match where am I doing here? No, that's also not right. Chemo's not going to win this match. Buddy Wayne is going to win, but this time, slow build, storytelling already got. This time, though, it's going to be outside interference finish when Michael Morris attacks Buddy Wayne, but he's going to win by DQ. So basically, Buddy Wayne's going to be on the brink of victory, and Michael Morris is going to interfere, attack Buddy Wayne, and the match is going to end in a DQ, which I get is a pretty unsatisfying way to end a 30-minute match. But that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make sure we've also got on cheap win, even though actually that won't matter because we're not changing the title. So Buddy Wayne's going to win, but this time by disqualification when Michael Morris attacks him. That's going to be the match. Yes, Kimo is going to struggle. Fair enough. Nothing I can do about that. After the match, Michael Morris and Kimo are going to take out Buddy Wayne. So for the second month in a row, Wayne is going to be left on the floor. And the fans are going to be booing and they're going to be angry. They're going to want Buddy Wayne to get his revenge. For the match, we're going to have Michael Morris introduce Kimo. In fact, we're going to rate him on Menace. And tells Wayne he will pay for fluke victory he got 2 months. Got a can't type 2 months ago. Right. So that is the show. We can't progress because it's only 42 minutes. That's because, first of all, that needs to be longer. That needs to be like 8 minutes. There we go. We're ready to go. No announcers, but that doesn't matter. We're not using Wellington Wilkins Jr. So only 3 workers being used this time. You can see down here it tells us $230 is what we're spending on talent. And that is what's going to happen here. Let's see what happens. So, the segment rating of 27 here with Michael Modis clearly enjoying having the freedom to go off script and performing well. And Modis introducing Chemo. And again, Chemo's gimmick was adequate, so that's fine. Then the match 13, so way worse than the 2 matches we've had so far. And Buddy Wayne sustained an ankle tendonitis. That could be a problem. I don't know how long that's going to keep him out for. Hopefully not long because he's our big star. Anyway, in-ring performance 26, Chemo 21. Not terrible, but Chemo was just exhausted. And then after the match, a good segment here of 29. The storyline between these two gains heat, and Buddy Wayne is getting better at his gimmick as well. So this is not as good as our last show, but still increased our popularity in one region. And that is show 3 in the books. We're just going to do the same thing as we do each time. Praised. No, not pointed out. Praised. No, I don't want that either. What do I want? Complimented. That's the one. Lovely. They all seem pleased, and that is a good way to finish that show. So let's have a look first of all. Yeah, Buddy Wayne is injured. Let's have a look first of all how long he is injured for, what the problem is. Oh my goodness, 1 year, 1 month, and 2 weeks, throwing a humongous spanner into all the plans I had. So I had a very, very simple plan where I build this story up very, very slowly, and Buddy Wayne gets an injured ankle tendonitis. So it says to have no effect. He's going to work through it, but he's got it for a year and 1 month. Well, I will reserve judgment. I think it's going to affect his performance, but actually, it might not be such a big deal because like you know, it doesn't matter how bad the matches are. We will increase our popularity for a while yet before the quality of our shows becomes a problem. So it might be fine. Actually, I feel a lot less panic now about that, having seen it. Anyway, Buddy Wayne now has had 3 title matches. Michael Modest, Wellington Wilkins Jr., and Chemo beat Chemo by DQ. Now let's have a look at the finance after that one. So we're down $508, but we did have more people in. I didn't even look at the attendance, when I did that one. So there were 43, so 2 more people in attendance for the last show. And yeah, but the show costs though were more. So that's annoying. Marketing was the same. Production was lower, but that's because we're only halfway through the month, I think. So, okay, that's where we are now. Let's just fast forward through the rest of this month. We'll get to the end of November, look at the finances one more time, see where we are. And that will probably be the end of this episode. I was a little bit panicked then for a minute with Buddy Wayne's injury because, as I say, I've got this vision in my head of this slowly building story between Wayne and Modest. I'm going to try and avoid having too many singles contests between the 2 men. That's not to say we won't have another one reasonably soon, but yeah, I'm going to try and avoid having too many one-on-one contests between the two, and just try and book the promotion around this rivalry, at least for the first year, for example, and then we'll see where we go. And I thought it was all up in the air, but actually, as it turns out, Buddy Wayne's injury, whilst a long-term one, isn't that severe and actually doesn't keep him out of in-ring action, which is a relief to say the least. What I'm going to be doing in a minute, or at least what I'm going to do next, it might be that I do it in the next episode, is searching for another wrestler to join the roster. And this one will be a babyface who will team with Buddy Wayne against Michael Modest and Chemo at the next show in the first tag team match in history. I've also, when we get this promotion properly up and running, we've got more than like 2 or 3 wrestlers that are regularly appearing and we're making some money. I have an idea for a ranking system that I will want to kind of introduce and talk you through and base the whole promotion around. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about that just now because I think I'll save that for a future episode. So let's look at the finances. So again, we've lost less money than we did last month. Our sponsorship now is up to $142 per month. So you can see how that is getting closer to the production value. And actually, the running costs are 140. So I could, for example, not run a show at all in December. And I think I would make a profit because my sponsorship is now higher than the production values, or than the production costs that I incur as a matter of course, regardless of whether I run a show or not. Which is good news because as you can see, we're getting low in terms of our funds. We are now down to just $405 going into December. So, and we're going to use another wrestler on the show. We're going to have 4 wrestlers on the next show. So it's going to be expensive for me. But that's a problem for the future because for now we are done with our second episode. That is 3 events in the books. I'm pretty happy with how we've gone to this point, and hopefully you'll join me again for the next episode, where, as I said, we'll be going into 1996, and yeah, I'm looking forward to what the future of this Random Wrestling Review will look like. But until the next time, thank you very much for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe.